Hi, everybody. Welcome to Rendezvous 2021. I'm Dawn.
And I'm Meg. We're really glad you could join us.
Congratulations to all on getting through an incredibly overwhelming year. Now, we had hoped that we would not be virtual again this year, but here we are.
And we know everybody's zoomed out, and so we decided to try something new this year and do a virtual world in Topia.
Topia, where you will be able to walk around like you were in a large conference space, view posters, and celebrate with friends and colleagues.
So we hope you've seen our announcements that have been coming out over email and had a chance to look at the world in Topia. But if not, please join us at 12:30 for a quick walkthrough. And the Rendezvous webpage also has all kinds of details and links and maps and such.
We had a great time building the Topia world, but it was a lot of work. So we want to say a huge thank you and shout outs to Meg, Linda, Nate, Lornay, Lucia, Dave, Katie, Kathy, Dan, Luann, Jasmine, Matt, William, Kelly.
Sorry, it just felt like it was going to go on forever. Anyway, and also to Dawn, obviously, to the CMC, to John and the Topia Shepherds, and that includes Gabby, Molly, Eric, Ian, Joe, Aaliyah, Lynn, Aaron, Ken, and Mistia. And the Shepherds are going to be available at 12:30, between 12:30 and 1, to walk you to specific areas and posters in Topia.
So Waleed's going to give the state of the Institute in a minute, but after lunch, please plan to follow the Yellow Brick Road in Topia to view the work of your colleagues, meet up with friends in the lounges, and dance away your cares at the disco. Happy Rendezvous, everybody. You're up, Waleed.
All right, thank you. Gosh, from all those names, I think you get a sense of the level of effort that's going into this event. And I want to thank everybody who's contributed. I think I have a slide that speaks to that, but just as a group, so many of you worked so hard for this. And I too look forward to doing this in person. I look much better from farther away, so that's the main reason I look forward to doing it in person. But thank you, Dawn and Meg, and thank you, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. It's Rendezvous 2021, our second virtual rendezvous, but we learned a lot from the first, and you'll see how that's borne out in this one. And I'm going to give a State of the Institute address, I guess, but the simple fact is the State of the Institute is strong. We're in very, very good shape despite the challenges, and that's directly attributable to you, all of you, and your hard work. From a financial standpoint, from a staffing standpoint, we're doing quite well. But getting into some specifics, and before I do want to invite you all to submit questions as we go through this. Dave, if you want to do the next slide. Submit questions, comment in the YouTube chat directly, or email seriesrendezvous@gmail.com. And if I say something that triggers what the heck is he talking about response in you, go ahead and ask what the heck I'm talking about, or other questions. Just this is intended to be a communication, a dialogue, even though I have the microphone for the vast majority of the time. I want to make sure your questions are raised and addressed. So with that, we're going to start and make this a little bit interactive. So there are a few slides. This is the first of them. You'll see the others later. And I'm going to ask you just to comment on what you've celebrated in the last 2 months. The last 2 months have been a bit of a turning of the corner. But what have you celebrated in the last 2 months? And some things are going to pop up on the screen as you answer. Friends. I assume you mean your friends and not binge watching episodes of Friends, but I think that's great. Family, yeah. Vaccination, I think we've all celebrated that. In fact, it's because of that and the fact that the auditorium's big and people are far away that I'm maskless today, for better or worse. Oh, vaccination's killing it. Yeah, we've had some beautiful weather. It's nice to see this populate, and I love this question because it's all good things. And I think it's an indication of the fact that good things lie ahead. We've been through a challenging time, and some good things have come out during those challenges. We've connected with people in different ways, but good things lie ahead. So I love and appreciate the optimism that's captured in this. I'll let it go just a tiny bit longer. Oh, beer. I don't know that I'd celebrate beer, but I consumed a lot over the last couple of months. All right, so with that, we'll move on. And I had alluded to this earlier, and you could tell by all the names that were read earlier, but so many people have worked so hard to bring this event to us all. And I encourage you to keep in mind, this is a celebration. It's not a list of accomplishments. This is a celebration of what we are, who we are, what we bring to the university, and what we bring to the world. And this celebration is made possible by the people you see on this list. The Series Rendezvous Committee, we've already heard from Dawn and Meg, but I also want to call out Linda Pendergrass and Nate Campbell for their efforts on the committee. The Outstanding Performance Award co-chairs, there were a lot of award nominations this year, and the chairs on the committee looked through these nominations and really spent a lot of time to make sure we could effectively recognize our peers. The poster session shepherds that are gonna walk you through, I guess I can't say literally, but as literally as virtual can be, walk you through the poster sessions. You see them all there. The other CMC members, they're listed there. This is a CMC driven event to recognize and appreciate ourselves and our colleagues. So thank you to all of you. And then there are others who are not on the CMC, but so many people contribute sort of outside their daily duties, and they're all listed here. I'd like to read them all, but we're limited in time, and I'm sensitive to the fact that I have a voice that kind of puts people to sleep, so I'm careful when I read long lists. So, but please look at these names and express your appreciation to them. Send them a chat, send them an email. When you finally see them shortly, hopefully, just tell them thank you. I certainly personally appreciate the efforts. So moving on to the Institute. This is a snapshot in spring of 2021 of our staffing levels. We've got 872 people. It's give or take a few, partly because it changes almost daily, and partly because it has to do with how we bookkeep our people. But 872 people, 22, or I'll start with the visiting fellows, 11 visiting fellows. These are postdoctoral fellows and sabbatical fellows, so people who either choose to begin their careers with us, which really is an honor and a privilege, and so much incredible talent comes through that pool, or people who choose to share a little of their time, usually sabbaticals, with us, and really strengthen relationships with researchers, scholars from other places. So 11 of those. We've got 22 faculty. We've got 39 postdoctoral researchers. This is in addition to the postdoctoral visiting fellows. In administration, we've got 79 people. The people who support your grants, your hiring, your IT, various communications, various other functions that make us run. Undergraduate students, 40, graduate students, 93. I'm proud of these numbers because we're a research institute, but we're in an educational environment. And the fact that we give students opportunities that we do is really wonderful. And it's also personal because I was one of those students many, I'll throw in another many, years ago. So the student population among us is really something I like to call attention to. Research scientists, 249, and associate scientists, 292. And then temporary employees and retirees, 38. And I like all these numbers, but there's another number I like because these are people who left and chosen to come back, or who've had very productive, successful careers and decided they want to spend a little time with us and helping us in the execution of our mission. So these are great numbers. One other one I'll go back to, the administration number of 79. So we have less than a 10-to-1 ratio, or I'm not sure how you do it. Less than a tenth of our people work in the administrative function. And that really says a lot, because that's a small number, that's a small ratio. And it's really a small group of people enabling the functionality of all the rest of us. So wherever you are on this list, whether it's contributing through direct research yourself, or support, or to our educational mission, or you've come to visit us from another place, or you've retired and decided, I need a little more series before I'm done working. Thank you, I appreciate it. I want to move on to funding sources. This is something that's always interesting to people. No surprise, the cooperative agreement from NOAA is about half our support, the lion's share of our funding. We also get quite a bit of funding. The next is NASA. NASA's split in two here because the DAC, Distributed Active Archive Center, is a big chunk of the resources we get. This is at NSIDC, National Snow and Ice Data Center, but also NASA research funding, that other 7%. National Science Foundation. Let's see, the USGS hurricane supplementals at 19%. Most of you know what NASA is, NOAA is, NSF, and so forth. But hurricane supplemental is actually congressionally mandated funds that we have been successful in securing a part of to study hurricanes and their effects, or other disasters and their effects. These are resources that Congress began making available a few years ago after some pretty destructive hurricane season. So that's 3% of our funding from the supplementals that came out in 2019. And then other. There are a lot of other sources of funding, some of them smaller agencies like USAID, some of them foundations like the Sloan Foundation. But the point is, we have a very healthy funding portfolio or profile. And it's healthy. It's really interesting. The two sides of this pie chart really sum it up. It's healthy in that we've got a very robust base through the cooperative agreement that affords us the capabilities and support to carry forward. And it's healthy on the other side of the chart because we've got diversity in our funding. We get a lot of resources from a lot of places. And then the last thing I'll mention about this is when we get the cooperative agreement, so it's a 10-year agreement and we're up for recompetition or competing for it again at the end of this year, beginning of next, we get a lot of money. It's a big award. It was $206 million, I should say. And then after 5 years, it gets renewed. So we compete every 10, but we're sort of reviewed and renewed at the 5-year mark. And the last renewal was for $206 million, and I'm happy to say we've blown through it. We're still a year and a half away from finishing the award, but we spent it all. So this is important. We had to go back to NOAA and ask for an increase in our ceiling. That's the maximum funding level that's permitted through the cooperative agreement. And it's a pretty cumbersome process, but NOAA has raised our ceiling by over $100 million a year. So we've shown them we can spend money efficiently and effectively. But the reason they raise it is because we've spent it in a way that's really advanced their interests. So we're in good shape for the remainder of our cooperative agreement. And so I just wanted to point out that aspect. And the other thing, you see this in the pie chart, you'd see something similar with people. We have about more than 400 people that during normal years sit at the David Skaggs building, but do work on the cooperative agreement through, or normally again at the David Skaggs building. And then we have the remainder, the other 450-ish that are on campus. And I know that it's almost like there are two series. There's one series, but we do many different things. And so if you're on the NOAA/Skaggs side of the house, you kind of got your world you function in, and you may not pay much attention to the university side of the house. Conversely, if you're on the university side of the house, you may not be fully aware of all the work that goes on at NOAA. And here's all I'll say. They're both phenomenal. They're both wonderful. They're both done by outstanding people. And I encourage you to reach out to your colleagues in the other domain and just take a little time to get to know them and understand what they do. That's one reason I love Rendezvous, particularly when it's not virtual, because you're able to do that. You're able to meet people, look at them, talk to them face to face. And I look forward to doing that soon. But for now, this will have to suffice. But it's important to me that we understand what Ceres is. It really has these two components that meld together and make us one very strong organization. Diversity and inclusion, there is going to be a poster on this, but I want to say Ceres has spent a lot of time and energy and committed resources to advancing diversity and inclusion, not just at Ceres, but at CU as a whole. And it began a few years ago with the hiring of Susan Sullivan. She approached me with this idea with here's what can make Ceres even more awesome. And I'm thrilled that she did. And I encourage you to look at her poster and see what activities are going on. I also want to point out that she's become a resource for the university's DEI efforts as a whole. She's become kind of a go-to person. And so I encourage you to take a look at the poster. I do want to say there have been a number of successes this year, which includes participation in the Racial Equity Challenge on campus, contributions to the Campus Ideas Plan, the diversity and inclusion plan for the campus, and kind of a different example of Ceres' work in this area is the Education and Outreach Team's REX program, Research Experience for Community College Students. I hope I got that right. I know it's a research experience and I know it's for community college students, so I think I put that together properly. Follow the letters like Sesame Street when I was a kid. You'll hear a little more about that because, spoiler alert, they've got an outstanding performance award. But this really brings in community college students, pairs them up with researchers, and literally does give them a research experience. And when we talk about diversity, we want diversity in all forms. And community college students, a lot of them are students that may otherwise not have this kind of opportunity. If you're an undergrad at CU or MIT or someplace like that, there are opportunities. But if you're an undergrad at a local community college, it's a little more challenging to find these kinds of opportunities. So we have this program. I'm extremely proud of it. I'm very proud of our other diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. And again, diversity in all its forms. And I say proud not because I have anything to do with it other than putting my full support behind it and some resources, but because it says a lot about who we are and our community. The people step up and do these kinds of things and create opportunity. So please take a look at Susan's poster and our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. We have another interactive component. I love these because I like to find out what's on your mind, but in 10 words or less, 10 or less. Please try and follow that instruction or it might get chopped off and say something weird. What has the crazy last year taught you? What have you taken away from the last year? Earlier we did 2 months, which was kind of the turning of the corner and the more optimistic. This is more about learning about ourselves, about people we know, about people we thought we knew and decided we never knew them until pandemic hit. All right, I love working in pajamas. That's a great one. Prepare to save yourself. Patience. Humility. Pants are overrated. I agree. Although, because I'm with people, I did put pants on for this event. How dependent I am on work for social interaction. This is an important one. I think a lot of us took for granted, the day-to-day interactions. Sharing vulnerabilities. Yes, this has been a challenging time. And sometimes just sharing with people what's challenging to us is important. Stay calm. That's right up there with the working in pajamas one for me, as far as I'm concerned. Gratitude. I'm not as introverted as I previously thought. Yeah, you never really know until you're tested. And I'll just let you read these as I do. People are selfish. Oh, that's actually I won't call it a good one. I'll call it an accurate one. There's worse things than commuting. Yeah. I think this pandemic may have hit National Public Radio more than anything else, because the number of people that only listen to it in their car, I think, is pretty substantial. I'm not as afraid of needles as I thought. Good internet. I love these. Thank you for sharing them, and I can tell by some of these are really personal thoughts. It's the beauty of anonymity, so thank you for sharing that and your vulnerabilities. Online learning. Oh, democracy is fragile. A little less related to the pandemic and more to something else. Yes, gratitude for coworkers. So I think I'll stop on that one. I think gratitude for coworkers is something we all learn. Well, I'm sure there's a few of you who learn how much you don't like your coworkers, but I think the vast majority realize that our colleagues, our friends, our coworkers, the people we spend toiling with day in and day out really mean a lot to us and are really valuable to us and who we are. So thank you for that. Oh, I gotta add, not biking to work adds 10 pounds. That's a good one too. All right, I'm gonna move on to the next one. These are science highlights. This is both a delight and a challenge for me. It's a delight because I get to review all the wonderful science that's happened over the years, and there really is a holy cow, this is phenomenal sense to it. It's a challenge because we've got to winnow it down to 2 or 3 for rendezvous. Otherwise, this would be a several-week event. But I'm happy to say, one area that has been tremendously successful and that has gotten a lot of attention, I'm sure most of you have heard about it, is Mosaic, this 13-month mission, freezing a ship in the ice in the middle of the Arctic. It wrapped up in October, had about 35, 40 series CU Boulder people on it to study and understand sea ice related processes, what affects its growth, shrinkage, what its impact on the energy characteristics and balance in the atmosphere and the ocean, how it's melting, what the changes in sea ice cover mean for our environment and for work, for life and our environment. And in particular, I'm gonna single out Matt Shoup for his leadership on the US side. I want to offer my congratulations to everybody, but I am going to single out Matt because this was a tremendous, both scientific and logistical effort. So thanks to Matt, thank you to all who were involved, whether you were conducting science or you were blogging about it and handling communications, or whether you managed the complex finances associated with working with this or help with staffing, whatever your role. This is a huge undertaking, a huge success, and one of which I'm extremely proud that we've been able to do it at Ceres or through Ceres. I'm also going to highlight something on the geology side of Ceres. You know, as an environmental research institute, it's sometimes people forget that geology and geological phenomena are part of our environment, as our ecosystems, as is the chemistry in the atmosphere and all the things we study. But on the geology side, I want to highlight some work that's been done by Méline Jacquemart. I think I said that right. And anytime I say a name that's wrong, just remember I've heard butcherings of Abdeladi any way you could imagine it. But Méline, thank you for your work. And this work is looking at how climate change affects hazards such as rock slides and glacial detachments. She's gotten a lot of media attention, has done outstanding science on this, and she's also reached out and done important work on field safety. This is in collaboration with Christy Tiampo, the director of ESOP, Earth Science and Observation Center, Anna Gold and Outreach, Alice Hill, and other researchers on this campus. And if you haven't read about the risk management workshop for field scientists in EOS, I do encourage you to look it up. This is a wonderful kind of testimony to who we are as scientists and people. It's not simply putting out the great papers. It's ensuring that science moves forward effectively, responsibly, and powerfully. So thank you, Méline. And then last I'm going to highlight, but again, there are many more, is the CFC11 story, the chlorofluorocarbon story, which came full circle. There was a publication out of NOAA led by Ceres fellow Steve Monska, and Ceres scientists in GML and CSL, Global Monitoring Laboratory, and the Chemical Sciences Laboratory. And their efforts really sought to understand the persistence of CFC11, a gas which many of you know depletes ozone and was supposed to go away, or at least diminish substantially following the Montreal Protocol years ago. And they tracked it to its sources in Asia, and again watched the gas begin dropping again, the CFC11s, as the provisions of the Montreal Protocol were enforced and the violators or offenders were identified and corrective measures were taken. So these are three very different examples about understanding our environment, about moving Ceres forward, and really about the tremendous capabilities that exist within our walls, within our virtual walls here, I guess. The next thing I want to point out is Spheres. I think most of you know this is a publication that highlights the bulk of our science over the past year. It's released today. I encourage you to go look at it online. It's beautiful, wonderful pictures and graphics, and great concise stories. If you just want to know about 50-ish, 60-ish awesome science activities going on at Ceres, just thumb through, or whatever the equivalent is on your screen, swipe through Spheres. I strongly encourage you to take a look. I promise you'll be glad you did. And thank you to the communications team, and in particular Kathy Bogan, because I know you've worked hard to make it so beautiful. But I'm always reluctant to single one person out because so many people do so much. But when you're struck by the visuals, that's Kathy, so thank you. I'm gonna move on to recognition, and this is one reason I really like doing Rendezvous, because we've got awesome people. And I love the opportunity to stand up here and call them out. Call them out a good way, not call them out a bad way. And I wish I could congratulate you all in person. And for those in the larger groups, invite you to stand up and get the applause you deserve. But for what I am quite confident will be the last time, we're going to recognize you virtually. So I'm going to start with just the promotions. So these are the career track promotions. I'm not going to read all the names to you, but in the associate scientist category, so look at this list, look at the names of people you know, and take a moment to congratulate them in some way. If you're on this list, even though you may be home, probably in your pajamas from what I read on a previous screen, stand up and or pat yourself on the back. Do something physical that the rest of the group aren't doing to recognize your accomplishments. Stand up, swell out your chest, whatever. But you should be proud of just advancing in your career in this way. For those who know these people, reach out to them, offer your congratulations. But you certainly have mine, and I'm sure you have that of your colleagues, even though we can't deafen you with a round of applause in the Glenn Miller Ballroom at the UMC. We'll do that next time. Career track promotions on the, did we go through the research scientist? I just did associate scientist. Sorry. Yeah, let's pause here too. The research scientist track, same thing. Stand up, recognize yourselves for your accomplishments, recognize your peers and colleagues for their accomplishments. I'll give you a second to look through those names. And then moving on to promotions on the administrative track. As I said before, these are the people that make the rest of the stuff happen. So it's great to recognize people for their career progress on this track as well. So again, appreciate yourselves and appreciate your colleagues for progressing in this way and for hitting these milestones. Thank you all for your hard work. And I'm glad we can recognize you at least in this way, if not in person. Going to move on now to the years of service. So the 5 years of service, you'll see the names get fewer and fewer as we pass through time. But these are people who've given Ceres 5 years of their lives. And I will say, in my own career, I've had kind of a 4-year time constant. I rarely hit the 5-year mark at anything. Some of you may have heard me say this, but I worked at NASA Goddard twice for about 4 years each. I worked at NASA headquarters twice, once for 4 years, once for 2 years. I worked at General Electric as an engineer twice. Once for a couple of years, once for 4 years. So I never hit the 5-year mark. And if you notice, I said twice for everything. And I think you may have heard me say this before, but it scares the crap out of me because the only job I worked at Ceres twice. The only job I haven't had twice was at Ponderosa Steakhouse when I was 16 years old. I washed dishes and flipped steaks and served French fries and stuff like that. So I'm terrified I'm going to end my career flipping burgers at a steakhouse somewhere. But I digress. The 5 years of service, as I said, it's a mark I never hit anywhere except here at Ceres. And I'd like to recognize and congratulate, and most of all, thank these people for giving us 5 years of your career and serving us so well. So take a moment to look through these, and we'll move on to the next. You had plenty of time to look at those because I rambled with my story. 10 years of service. This is as of April 30th, 2021. Again, 10 years is a big accomplishment. It means in most cases, you've given a quite substantial chunk of your career to us at Ceres. So thank you for that. And again, appreciate yourselves and appreciate each other for that service. 15 years of service. Now we're getting to the point where people, maybe close to half of their careers have been with us. They may not have completed half of their careers yet, but 15 years is a pretty big chunk. And if you think of 30 years at your job or more, spending half of that with us really is remarkable. So thank you for that. Hopefully you found it worth your while too, but I certainly appreciate it. 20 years of service. Now you've been here so long, you get specifically recognized instead of being part of a list. But again, the time people give to Ceres and the willingness to commit such a large fraction of your careers is tremendously important to us and tremendously valuable to us. There is no substitute for experience. So thank you. So those with 20 years of service, Liz and John Casano. We have pictures of a lot of the people, not all of them, but Liz and John, thank you. Peter Molnar. And again, if these are people you're familiar with, I strongly encourage you to just reach out and congratulate them and thank them. Both are warranted. Betsy Sheffield. Thank you, Betsy. Bill Travis. Richard Grubb and Robert Pincus. This is what happens when you don't send us a picture. You just get a lovely landscape, but it's beautiful nonetheless. But Richard and Robert, thank you. And moving on to 25 years of service. Florence Federer. The clock alone makes it worth it. Christoph Senf. Oh, did we give him a rooster too? I don't remember. Fred Moore. Congratulations and thank you, Fred. And 30 years of service. Paul Johnston. Tim Fuller-Roll. 35 years of service. I think it's safe to say if you're giving us 35 years of service, you are giving us more than half your career, but I could be wrong. Some people may have felt they've given us 35 years of service in the last year alone. Don Hooper. Yeah, this is what quarantine will do to a person. Thanks for the picture. Dwayne Kitsis. Thank you, Dwayne. 40 years of service. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Linda, but this is our first 40-year service award. So this next person, congratulations on yet again breaking new ground as you have through most of your career. Sorry, I lost my screen and I'm back to Tim Fuller-Roll. I didn't think he was here that long, but 40 years of service. Bob Sievers. So thank you, Bob. And 13 of those 40 years of service were as director of Ceres. So thank you for your directorship back when I was a grad student here and for all your contributions prior to and since then. Thank you, Bob. Going to move on to the awards. And one thing I love about this is these are awards by your peers. You're nominated by your peers, you're chosen by your peers, the process is managed by your peers. So it's something you should be very proud of. So we give these out in two categories, science and engineering, as well as service. So starting with the Science and Engineering Awards. The first is to Patrick Alkin in NCEI for successfully leading the development, validation, and release of an international reference geomagnetic model used widely in academia, government, and industry. So congratulations to Patrick, and I think geomagnetics is something a lot of us take for granted, don't realize the importance in aviation and navigation and the basic physics of the atmosphere. So thank you for your efforts and your service. The next Outstanding Performance Award to Doug Day, Hongyu Guo, Pedro Campuzano Yost, Dimitris Pagonis, and Donna Super. And this is for a decade of developing and engineering one of the world's most comprehensive and high-performance flight instruments for measuring aerosol chemical composition. So congratulations. This isn't simply doing the science, it's developing the hardware to make the science possible. It's a very powerful combination, and congratulations to this group. And in the next slide, here they are. So if you see them or know them or can find their email address really quickly, I encourage you to send out congratulations. The next, Ravan Amadov, Eric James, and Stuart McKean in GSL/CSL, the Global Systems Laboratory and the Chemical Sciences Laboratory, for leading a multi-year effort to implement a biomass burning module in an existing hourly numerical weather prediction system to predict smoke movement. And I'll pause here for a second because this highlights the importance of the interconnectedness of it all. So you may be seeing people up here, whether it's NCEI or GSL and CSL or here on main campus or whatever, doing things that you may not have thought about, but that all come together to shape and influence our environment. And these efforts in these different facets, the smoke and how smoke impacts weather and climate conditions being built into these operational models, really is something a lot of you probably never thought about, but we're doing it, it matters, it's important, and it's making our abilities to predict weather and smoke distribution and movement better. And we all benefit for that. So thank you to this group and all the others. Here are, it's all of them. So congratulations. Next award, Matthew Coggin in CSL for changing our understanding of urban wildfire, ozone formation, and resulting air quality impacts. Again, fires. It isn't just for weather forecasting anymore, but the chemical makeup of our atmosphere and its implications. When you win an award by yourself, you get your picture next to your citation. It's a cool picture. Glad you took the award with you. The next in service, this goes to Rebecca Batcher, Alicia Christensen, Annie Fadal, and I'm going to pause on that because I can't say your name without my hands. Fadal, Megan Henderson, Amanda Morton, and Christine Okochi for remarkable work supporting the research experience for community college students. This is the REX program I was referring to. Changing the academic trajectory and lives of many. Again, these are community college students without a lot of research opportunity available to them. And this activity really opens up doors. So thank you to this group. And here they are, sporting their awards. And the next, Kathy Bogan, John Griffith, Lynn Harden, Leanna Evans Nixon, Matthew Price, Matt Shoup, Katie Weeman. I'm sorry, I can't call you Catherine Lucille, but Katie, you'll always be Katie to me. for creative, high-impact outreach, education, and communications work in support of the year-long Mosaic Arctic Research Expedition. This was powerful not simply in its science achievements, but for the messages that could be communicated, the way the public and school children and everyone could just be enraptured by the adventure of it, but also the importance of it. So thank you to this group. And here you are in all your glory. Oh, this is the first time I've seen, I didn't realize Katie's baby was in this. Congratulations, Katie, a new mother. I hope it's okay that I say that, but if it's not, it's too late. The next Outstanding Performance Award in Service, the next one goes to John Mould in the Global Monitoring Laboratory for exceptional skill and service as a data manager, programmer, IT specialist supporting national and IT specialist, supporting national and international atmospheric monitoring and research. As I said, it's not simply the researchers, it's the support of the researchers that make all this possible. So I'm delighted to see this kind of recognition in this way. Next, and you're beginning to wonder why I was so congratulatory for the Outstanding Performance Award Committee, because we've got a lot of these, but we do a lot of outstanding work. And we have a lot of outstanding performers. So just a few more, but this is to Catherine Raskow, Megan Malamud, Chelsea Thompson in CSL, the Chemical Sciences Laboratory, for redesigning the CSL website and orchestrating the excellent use of Esri's story maps in support of the 5-year laboratory review. The NOAA labs are reviewed every 5 years to make sure they're doing the most they can to support the NOAA mission. And this just points out one of the many instances where Ceres is critical in the success of the execution of the mission. Not just its success in supporting the review, but the actual execution of the mission. So congratulations to this group, and here they are. I'll let you enjoy their lovely faces for a minute. And again, please reach out to these people. If you know them, if you don't know them, just say thanks for what you do, because it, personally for me, it makes me just proud to be a part of an organization that does so many powerful and important things. The next category of awards is the Ceres Medals. I'll let you read this, but the bottom line is Department of Commerce recognizes its federal employees who have exceptional achievements with medals, gold medals, silver medals, and bronze medals. Ceres employees are not federal employees, so they're not recognized in the same way. That doesn't mean their work is not recognized and not appreciated, but the formal recognition through these medals is not something that currently happens. So we at Ceres offer the Ceres Medal to one, recognize the work ourselves and to compliment what they're doing with their colleagues. And the federal government, Craig McLean, the head of OAR at NOAA in particular, knows we do this and is hugely supportive and has been looking for ways to recognize Ceres people directly himself. Because there is a broad recognition that the success and the great achievements of NOAA do not happen without the Ceres participation. So these medals are a way for us to recognize the members of teams that were recognized by the Department of Commerce in ways that the department itself can't, because they're not federal employees. So the first is Phil Pigeon for development and accelerated implementation of NOAA's flagship global forecast system, a foundation for FE3 based on the unified forecast system. So basically your contributions to developing and improving the key forecasting system at NOAA. So congratulations to Phil. I wish I could just stop and clap for each one, but doing it by yourself in front of a podium when you're wearing pajama bottoms just feels weird. I never know if what I'm saying is funny or not, because there are a few people here and they have to laugh, but hopefully you're just rolling on the floor at home, or at least chuckling. Series gold medal to Jeff Dutton, Lee Hugh, David Nance, Deborah Mondil, Fred Moore, Ben Miller, Eric Ray, and Carolina Ciso for discovering the recent production and release of CFC-11 and indicating a major violation of the Montreal Protocol. So this is tied to the work I highlighted earlier about the CFC-11s. 11, these are the series contributors to that effort. The work was recognized by Commerce with a gold medal, and these are the members of series that supported that. So, and here they are, at least some members of the team. Actually, I think it's all members of the team. And then the next, Finn Dahl, Barry Akins, Aaron Lefebvre, Elliot Lim, Brian Meyer, and Rick Saltis for successful orchestration of seafloor mapping and data science initiatives imperative to fulfill the U.S. Extended Continental Shelf project goals. So supporting mapping of the continental shelf below the ocean off the coast. So next slide. And congratulations to this group. Again, pause, appreciate them, appreciate yourselves, and appreciate the fact that you're part of an organization that does such impactful things. There's something for everybody in there. Juan Rodriguez, William Rowland, and Meg Tilton for innovative engineering and science approach that avoided $28 million in repair costs to deliver NOAA instruments to MEDOPS-C to improve weather forecast. My takeaway from this is if you save the government $28 million, you'll get a gold medal. So congratulations and thank you for your efforts. But it's more than saving the money, it's achieving the capability. So thank you. The series SWIPSI team that includes Hazel Bain, Ratna Dodani, Mary Angel Frederici, Dominic Fuller-Roll, Kylie Gray, Jeffrey Johnson, and Ben Rolls for the planning, development, and implementation of a brand new space weather forecast service to support international aviation requirements. And again, some people know this, but your safety on aircraft or any kind of aviation really depends on understanding the space weather conditions. So this effort is hugely important in many ways. It's not simply advancing the physics, it's advancing the application. So here is the group receiving this award. Thank you all. Silver medal to Gil Campo, Don Hooper, Chesley McCall, Prashant Sardeshmukh, Laura Slavinsky, Catherine Smith, and Lawrence Spencer for creating a 200-year historic reanalysis data set of global weather and extremes from only surface pressure and sea surface temperature observations. So congratulations to this group. That 200-year record helps us put today in context. And the creativity and the ingenuity that goes into creating such a record from such a small set of measurements, or a specific set of measurements, really can't be overstated. So congratulations to this group. The next series bronze medal to Matthew Martinson for eliminating any potential Mauna Loa observatory sources of CFC-11 and other trace gases to ensure integrity of long-term data records. So when we work with long-term records, it's very important that anything that might make one period look different from another period, the surrounding circumstances apart from what we're studying, it's very important we understand and characterize that so it can be removed and we're looking at what we think we're looking at over that record. So to Matthew Martinson, thank you. Another bronze medal I'm not going to read all of these names because I'm sure you're getting tired of hearing my voice, but I encourage you to read all of these names and just listen as I read the citation. For outstanding execution of the FIRE-X air quality mission, this is a joint venture with NASA to improve understanding of air quality and climate impacts of fires. So this group, with its chemical analysis capabilities, modeling capabilities, atmospheric science capabilities, worked on this joint mission so that we could understand the relationship between fire and climate. So congratulations to this group. Here are most of them. Again, I'll just let you look at the names, and I strongly encourage you to reach out to your colleagues and just thank them for their outstanding work. Next bronze medal to Terry Bullock, Justin Mabey, and Brian Meyer for securely relocating environmental records from Colorado to North Carolina, preserving and ensuring accessibility to the data and reducing costs. The way we handle data is so very important, and I think taken for granted. And when we've got these big data sets that need to be moved, there's risk. And I'm delighted that this activity is being recognized because I think it's too easily overlooked. The importance of good data, not just data management, but data handling. So thank you to this group. Now, administrative plaques. The first is to David Alured and Irina Jalalova, excuse me, I think I got that right, for implementing and upgrading NOAA's air quality forecasting capability for improving the lives of Americans and saving billions of dollars per year. So congratulations to to David and Irina. The next, and again, I'm not going to read all of these names. I'm simply going to read the citation, which is for the planning and conduct of the largest interdisciplinary research project ever to study wildfire smoke composition, chemistry, and evolution. And for this slide, actually, well, let's go to the next, for the pictures. You know, for this slide and the previous one, the administrative aspect, I come back to what I said at the beginning. This does not happen without competent, committed administrative support. We do a lot of complicated things here, deal with a lot of complex issues. So recognizing administrators and their role in these activities is something I'm delighted that we get the chance to do. Again, these are, well, I'll just leave it at that. Again, I won't read all of these, but some familiar names. We have a number of repeat performers here, so thank you for that, and I'm glad we're able to recognize this effort. But for achieving a fully operational GOES-R constellation, culminating in a decades-long effort. And I misspoke, actually, so I'm going to correct myself. Administrator plaques are from, they were awarded to people for activities by the NOAA administrator. It doesn't mean that all the people involved are administrators. So I think what I said still stands. These things don't happen without the administrative component, and there are administrative personnel recognized within this group. But it really is a broad undertaking by many people, scientists, researchers, support people alike. So this particular one is for the GOES-R constellation, and I apologize for misspeaking on that. And here are some of the recipients of that. And I have to pause because when these pictures come up, the display I'm looking at in the upper right corner has me. And so I see all these people holding their awards, and I see myself, and there's just for a split second, I'm like, wait, I had nothing to do with this, but then I remember that's just the display. Next, administrator plaques, Richard McLaughlin, Hagen Tell, Troy Thornberry, and Laurel Watts for creating a unique instrument to measure atmospheric particles and helping a small company successfully commercialize it to yield in excess of $1 million in sales. So again, ingenuity on the engineering front as well as the science front. So congratulations to this group as well. And then the final award, I'm going to pause for just a second. This is the George C. and Joan A. Reed Award. I will read the text there, though. Made possible by the Reed's generous contributions, the Reed Award celebrates intellectual contributions to series and leadership within the broader University Boulder community. George Reed was one of the 4 founding fellows of Ceres, and when he passed, this award was set up so that we could recognize somebody in this category every couple of years. It was carried on by further contributions from his wife, Joan Reed, who has also passed. And I want to pause and say thank you to their children, Brian and Ingrid Reed, who I believe are with us watching this. And I just want to thank the Reed family as a whole for this opportunity to recognize people who make these contributions. This is going to a graduate student, Jackson Jandreau in Chinjiao Chu's group, for an extraordinary passion for science discoveries and technology breakthroughs. The spirit of the Reed Award and what George stood for is really exemplified in students breaking new ground and pushing the boundaries. So this is a delight to give out, and it's an honor. And there's something special about it because it was made possible by an early series fellow and the Reed family, and I like having that distinction tied to this award. Had the privilege of notifying Jackson, and he was understandably thrilled, and I'm thrilled to be able to present that. So thank you to the Reeds for your generosity, your family's generosity. Thank you to Jackson for all your hard work, and we look forward to seeing where you go and where this helps take you. I'm gonna finish with another interactive question, or statement actually. You get to say congratulations to these award winners in your own words. I hope some of you emailed your colleagues or friends or reached out to them in some way, but here's an opportunity just to say congratulations to individuals, to groups, to the collective entity as a whole, because while some people are singled out for their work, and I think awards are great, and people who deserve them, who receive them, deserve them. I appreciate being able to recognize them. You're all part of a broader, powerful ecosystem in environmental research, and I'm grateful to you for your efforts and delighted we can recognize you, and it's sort of a reflection on what Ceres is. So I invite you, as many people are, to just post a congratulations to these recipients. Can't say enough good things about the Rex team. I agree, it's outstanding. I can't say enough good things about most of the activities and people at Ceres. Nominated colleague, I'm sure that's from someone on the CMC. But as you can see, there's no shortage of nominations and things to identify and celebrate. So proud to work with you all. I have to echo that myself. Thank you all. So I'm tempted to let this go on forever because the remainder of our time is dedicated to Q&A, and the longer I let this go on, the few A's I have to give to your Q's. But I think most of you know, particularly if you've been involved in the town hall, that I want to answer your questions. I want to know what's on your mind. I want to help you understand and be aware of what's going on at Ceres and the university. So I will move to Q&A, but I'll let this scroll a little bit longer just because there's so many wonderful things being said about our colleagues. I can't translate the Chinese one, but I think it means woohoo, as I'm seeing in there. Yeah, I think I'll leave it at such impressive work and people. Congratulations, because I think that captures it perfectly. So thank you. And with that, it's your turn. Please comment in the YouTube chat directly or email seriesrendezvous@gmail.com. If you got my cell phone number, you can call me, reach out to me, whatever way works for you. So with that, I'll pause and give time for a few questions to come in. And I'm not sure how we're handling this. That's right, Linda's gonna read them to me.
Well, we currently do not have any questions.
Oh, people wanna just get to their lunches. Come on, there's gotta be something on your mind.
We have one from Max Boykoff. Can you tell us again why it's called Rendezvous?
I'm gonna have Linda whisper that in my ear, but I think it's simply intended to refer to a get-together. And this is a chance for us all to get together, usually literally, but now in virtual space, and get together and share in our accomplishments. Linda, if you want to add something to that, I'm happy to repeat it so people can hear.
Sounds great.
That's a softball question, and I still kind of blew it, but.
We got another one saying, can you sing a song for us?
I wasn't planning on that this year because I wanted to, for two reasons. One, I wanted to make sure we had time for the other questions, although that seems not to be a problem. And the other is that as much as I love singing to all of you, there's a part of me that thinks some of you are sitting there saying, oh geez, the boss is gonna make us listen to this again. So I alternate. You got it at the Christmas party. I don't have anything planned for today, but I don't know, maybe at the end I'll come up with something.
So another question is, can you tell us about when we're physically going to be back in our offices?
Sure, well, kind of. Can they hear you or do I need to repeat the questions?
They can hear me.
Okay. Nate Campbell, ladies and gentlemen. Physically back in our offices. Well, that depends on a couple things. From a campus perspective, people are actually able to come back now with there are certain caveats to that. The researchers, faculty, and students are able to come back now. Those who work in this building here, the Ceres building, there's going to be some maintenance for the next 4 weeks. What are they doing to the building, Nate?
Changing the air handler.
Changing the air handler to make sure our circulation is good. So for the next 4 weeks, access to this building actually won't be available to people. But for researchers, faculty, students in laboratories or in whatever, you can come back now. We've stopped the approval process. We've stopped the weekly required testing process for people to come back. So you can come back now, but, and I'll get to staff in just a second, we request, in the case of faculty and researchers and staff, a plan. You know, who's going to be in your lab when, just some coordinated activity or coordination of the activity. But there's nothing that stops people from coming back now as long as you continue to practice the distancing, mask wearing, and I'll get to that in a second too. For staff, it's a little bit different. technically you can come back now, but people aren't on staff. We don't want people coming back. This is campus-wide without a plan. So supervisors responsible for your groups need to develop a plan, who's going to be in when, so there's kind of accounting for density of occupancy. And telework has become a big thing, a big question on people's minds or part of their planning for future work. And so we're asking staff supervisors to provide a plan for who's going to be in when and how the workload is going to be managed so that we're sure there's enough coverage for the critical functions. We're sure there's enough in-person presence. So that's going to take a little bit of time. And a lot of the administrative staff work right here in this building. So you got a month because the building isn't going to be accessible to you. But so for faculty, students, researchers, you can come back now. Just we ask that you exercise appropriate distancing and safety measures, health precautions. For staff, you can in theory come back now, but this building isn't going to be available to you after today. And if you're working elsewhere, we still require a plan for how your work function is going to be managed. So I'm looking to the supervisors to capture that, develop that plan, so that I'm aware, we can all be aware of who's where when. I defer to the supervisors to determine what arrangements work best for their groups and enable the execution of their function. So that's kind of a long answer to say faculty, students, researchers can come back now, but practice appropriate distancing and safety measures. And for administrative staff, you can in theory come back now, but the series building isn't available to you. And before you come back, I need that plan coordinated by your supervisor. So whenever that happens, you can start. The last thing I want to say about this, and I'm sorry for the long answer, is I stand by what I've said all along. I don't want anyone who's unsafe to feel obligated to come back. That's going to change a little bit in the fall as we get more into a regular campus mode. I'll still hear and work my best to accommodate concerns of people who are worried about their health. But the summer's kind of a transition period and no one is required to come back if you feel your safety and health are put at risk. We'll revisit this as we go through the summer, but for now, that's where it stands. That was a very long answer. I hope somewhere in there I answered the question, but there's a lot to it.
Waleed, also connected with that, they're wondering if the Eckley building is part of the air handling renovation system.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Nate, but the Eckley building is not part of the air handling. So if you work in one of the chemistry labs in Eckley, you will not be restricted in your access. It's the main series building from the Sky Bridge in the kitchen over to Crystal.
Okay, Waleed, do you feel that there are any particular challenges to series going forward?
Any particular challenges to series going forward? Well, the first and most obvious, and I guess I should have mentioned this, is our competition for the 10-year award is going to be occurring. We're underway now. The proposal will likely be due shortly after the first of the year. So that's where a lot of our energy and attention is focused. I think we're positioned very strongly for it, and I'm not concerned about it. The way I characterize it is I'm just concerned about it enough to make sure we do our best and put forward a great proposal, but I don't lose sleep at night worrying we won't get the next 10 years of funding. I think one of the biggest challenges we're going to face, though, is what does the work environment look like? Some people thrive in the presence of their colleagues and through that interaction. And, you know, in some ways it's very efficient to have a 2-minute hallway conversation instead of setting up a Zoom meeting and blocking off a half hour for it. Others thrive in the quiet of their home. So how do we integrate that into the most effective organizational operation we can have is going to be one of the challenges. We'll make it. There's nothing I'm concerned about that we can't handle that lies ahead. And frankly, I see more opportunity than challenge. I see an opportunity for a workplace environment that hopefully better meets the diverse needs of people and the way they work. I have to say though, my priority is going to be making sure the environment is as effective as can be. So, you know, balancing that with individual priorities is going to take a lot of thought and effort. I will say, and I don't mean this politically in any way, but we're in an environment where the kind of work we do is getting more attention. And so I think there will be opportunities ahead on that front as well. So I'm optimistic about the future. I admit we're going to stumble toward it a little bit. We won't walk gracefully to it because the landscape we got to navigate is not entirely clear, and it's not entirely flat and level. But I'm quite confident we'll get to a very good place that works for people, and we can be robust in our operations. And I'll actually use this as an opportunity to mention the strategic planning effort that Maggie Tolbert is leading, that a number of people in Ceres are participating in. I think that will lead to a clearer articulation of who we are, where the opportunities are, and how we're going to go about pursuing them. So the combination of that and emerging opportunities really look bright to me. But there are a few, I won't call them stumbling blocks, but we're going to need to figure out how to navigate the landscape now that some people thrive in the remote environment, other people can't wait to get back, and finding that optimum arrangement and functionality is going to be a challenge for us. But it's not a challenge I'm worried about not meeting. The cooperative agreement proposal, which not only supports half our people, but goes a long way towards supporting the infrastructure that supports the rest of our people. That's not something I'm worried about. I'm worried about to a healthy degree. I'm worried about to the point where I'm sure we're going to work hard to put together a good proposal that NOAA couldn't resist. But it's not like, oh geez, what if we don't get this? So I'm optimistic about our future. I'm optimistic about the opportunities. Our path to that is going to be a little vague, and there'll be some missteps, but on the grand scale, I think it looks very bright.
Great. Just a quick note from a former CMC member, Conrad Steffen is actually the person that named Rendezvous.
Oh, well, thank you for that. It
Yes.
sounds very Swiss. I
Yeah.
guess that makes sense.
Absolutely. Another question. Congratulations to those who were promoted, but what's the difference between associate and research scientist?
Oh, gee, I should have anticipated this question, and I'd love to refer to Angela on this, but basically, and if I'm wrong, I'm going to hear about it, and I apologize in advance, but the research scientists, so it's a little bit more autonomous in the pursuits. I don't think there's a degree distinction between the two, but I may be wrong. I'm showing my ignorance here. Whereas associate scientist is a little bit more of I won't say not leading activities, because we all have our domains of responsibilities and exercise leadership, but associate scientist is more in a supporting role of the broader scientific activities. So I'm sure I'll hear about it if I've misstated that, but and if there's a chat, right? I invite you, Angela, to chime in and correct anything I said or undo it, but that's where that is.
Great, thank you. Should we be using our hard-earned vacation hours before the July 1st vacation leave cap deadline?
If you've got vacation that's gonna go away July 1st, so this question is from someone who's got a lot of vacation, I assume that we'll lose it, if not used by July. Yes, I encourage you to take it. It's been a hard year, and in fact, it's been a year in which, 14 months in which people have resisted vacation. You just kind of went from your bed to your computer to your kitchen. I mean, it's not been great. So yes, if you've got the time and the interest in using it, I strongly support that.
Another question, will there possibly be a series outdoor picnic?
Possibly. Surprise, Linda. The idea has come and I've thought, boy, I really ought to think about that. And then something else has come up. But I think the opportunity to gather for those who want it is a good one, is an important one. It would probably just be a, hey, we're all going to be at this place, bring yourself something. It wouldn't be as, as coordinated, or so-and-so buys the steak and so-and-so buys the beverages. But I think the opportunity to just get together and see each other would be good. So, it's a great idea, and I'll talk more to Linda about it.
Great. Another question about access to the Skaggs building. Can you speak to that?
Access to the Skaggs building is entirely controlled by NOAA. And it's kind of a weird thing because, access has been pretty tight. There's been an approval process, and the number of people who accessed it have been limited. They're still holding tightly to who can access it. I don't know when it will be alleviated. Yet at the same time, Commerce came out with its declaration that if you've been vaccinated, no mask. And there's sort of a strange juxtaposition there of freedom in the form of not wearing a mask, but constraints in the form of not being able to get to the building. So that's something that's entirely in NOAA's hands. They control access to the building, so when they make the determination that the in-person presence and activity are required, then that's when people will go back. I have no indication as to when that will be. The only thing I know is if you do go back and you've been vaccinated, you don't have to wear your mask. So on the one hand, there's a pretty stringent requirement of nobody in the building unless your access is necessary to the fulfillment of your function. But on the other hand, if you're in the building and you've been vaccinated, you can go mask free. So that's kind of a long way of saying I'm not sure what the timeline is for returning. That's really up to NOAA, NOAA leadership, Department of Commerce. But I will say, it's intended to be done thoughtfully and in a way that meets the needs of NOAA while still preserving the health interests of all the people that occupy that building. So stay tuned. I don't have any more information than that, but that's what I know.
That's it for the questions.
Okay. I guess, do we break for
One more
lunch?
slide about Topia.
Oh, that's right, yes. So we're gonna come back at 12:30. We're doing something different this year. Different and similar. Similar in the sense that we're gonna have poster sessions. And you're gonna be able to go through the posters and look at them. Different in the sense that it's being handled virtually by software tool called Topia, developed here by our very own powerful IT team. And what we're gonna do is there are gonna be rooms you can go into, and there's gonna be help navigating the Topia software, but it's pretty cool, and I encourage you to hop on and try it, both for the kind of coolness of experiencing this way of looking at posters virtually, but also for the reason we do every year, to just learn what your colleagues are doing and the wonderful science activities going on at Ceres. So here is a timeline for you to enter, so that we're not all clamoring at once to get into one place. When you get into Topia, maybe I'll let Nate explain this, but there's a Zoom help room that you can access, or you can find a CMC shepherd. So somebody from the CMC is, anyone from the CMC will be happy to sort of help you figure out how to navigate Topia. So when you get into Topia, I think, Nate, you can look for a shepherd, you can identify a shepherd.
It'll have it in their name.
Say that again?
It'll say CMC Shepherd above.
Oh, okay. It'll say CMC Shepherd once you get into Topia, and you can ask them for help. You can Zoom into the help room, you can email Ceres IT. But this is a really cool, I've had it demonstrated for me. It's a really cool platform and a really neat way to just experience some of the science your colleagues are doing virtually in a different way. So I encourage you to come back at 12:30. Join us, you won't be sorry. Learn about the wonderful work that your colleagues are doing. And as it says here, we're trying to avoid congestion. So look at your division that you're associated with and enter in that time window, so we don't have everybody trying to enter at the same time. Sort of poke your way around, and one, enjoy the experience, and two, just really appreciate the work of your colleagues and this is a phenomenal organization that does incredible, fascinating, and important things. I feel lucky to be able to represent the organization as director. But you're the ones doing the work. I just get to brag about it. And believe me, I take every chance I get to brag about it. But just see what your colleagues are up to, learn and understand the things they're working on, and kind of just pause and appreciate the breadth and capability of this group, of this organization. So thank you for that. And anything else? Any other questions come in? All right, well, with that, we'll see at least the environmental chemistry crowd at 12:30, and others of you staggered at 3-minute intervals after that. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much to the CMC. Thank you. Dave, can you go back to the slide, one of the very first slides of everybody who made this possible? I'm doing this for, wow, there are a lot of slides. I think it was like slide 5. Yeah. So thank you to the CMC members, to the people who've worked so hard to make this happen. Thank you to all of you. I mean, Ceres really is a phenomenal organization. I say that outwardly all the time to leaders on campus, to members of Congress on Capitol Hill. I didn't say it January 6th because I wasn't there, but to members of Congress on Capitol Hill, to members of the executive branch, to NOAA leadership. I love bragging about you, but I want to say it internally to all of you who make this such an outstanding organization. I hope you're proud to be a part of it. I'm certainly proud to be director of it, although I do the least to make it so great. You're the ones doing the work. So take a minute to appreciate the people on this screen for their hard work in making this possible. to appreciate yourselves for your hard work, for making this such a strong organization, and ultimately just to appreciate each other. This is a great group. I mentioned at the beginning, I never stayed anywhere more than 4 years, and I'm coming up on 8 here. So thank you. There's no way I'm doing 8 at Ponderosa Steakhouse or whatever its successor is, but it really is a privilege to be a part of this organization. You make it strong. I just get the privilege of bragging about you. So thanks for giving me so much to brag about. Thanks for your attention, and I look forward to seeing you in the poster sessions at 12:30. Thanks, everybody.